I can't believe Darren Pang's going to Chicago. Man, it's like St. Louis is losing on it.
I did not hear that, to be honest. I've kind of stayed off the social media with the Cardinals struggling, just for my own mental health. So I missed that.
You're smart. Yeah, Pang's going to Chicago.
That stinks.
Yeah, it's man, it's just not a good time to be a sports fan. It's unbelievable right now. All right. Hey, everybody. It's Wednesday. I can't remember what day of the week. I haven't been out of the house yet today. To be honest, because it rained and I've been on the treadmill and we did go out. My wife just made enchiladas. So, we're getting ready to record here with Kody. Kody's in St. Louis. What part of town are you in?
O'Fallon, Missouri. Not too far from you.
Oh, my gosh. You're right down the road.
I am.
So I'm kind of new to out here because we lived in Florissant forever. We're in Weldon Spring. We're right behind Jay Bloom, which used to be Gold's Gym. You can see it from my house. Like we're one street over. Like
right we go to
so are you guys over kind of by K, like in that area?
We're right off K and 40 and N. 40 and N, right off there.
N. So you're out by
we're 364 N's.
Oh, okay. So we went to a new place out there this past weekend, a sports bar out there that was awesome.
It is really good. Yep.
What was the name of that?
I think it's the Town and Grill, or it's something along those lines.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Town Square or something. I can't remember it, but it is really good.
Post something because the
Post. Yes, the Post.
The Post. Yeah, that place was good. It was huge, and there weren't that many people in there. Yeah, so we went out there. That's a cool little plaza there. We hadn't discovered out there. Everything's so new out in that area. Oh my god!
Every day there's something new. We didn't even know they were building an Andy's custard, and now there's one there, and now we've gone a couple times, unfortunately.
Yeah, you don't want to go there too much. That stuff is too good. Yeah, exactly. We go there every time we go to Bazoo. We go to the Andy's there. And
Tiger Streak. That's what you got to get.
Exactly. That's exactly what I get. Tiger Streak every time. I say what else? So the school out there, because we always go for the football games, that's Timberland out that way? Like if you keep
going, Timberland, Liberty's a little closer than us, but a little closer to us, but Timberland's a little farther down. But they're all right. These schools are on top of each other now because there's so many people. That is true.
And so everybody still saying, like in the UK right now, you're just getting a little GAC update here, the Westplex we call it.
Yeah.
This is what this is out here. HOWELL. How? Okay. So we're going to talk Disney. I promise. You're like, shut up, Mike. Talk Disney. All right. That's what we're going to do. Let's see. So let me get the notes back up. And the good news is this is a recent trip because we had a cancellation. Because I know a lot of these are kind of far out because we have to schedule so far. We're scheduled right now till January 24th. So that's why they get kind of pushed out. But we had a cancellation, so you jumped in.
Yeah, it was funny. I was like, I'll get on this. I knew it was our advance. I was like, I got some trips coming up. Let's get on the schedule for the future. And then you're like, oh, no, we're good.
Like 5 minutes after the person's like, I can't make it. I'm like, oh, perfect. Oh, this is great. Okay, look, you're on the schedule. You're in. Okay, so good. We got this. Let's see. Make sure hit that. All right. Okay. That looks good. All right, 2302. I don't think there's no holidays on Monday, anything like that. Hit the phone. All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 2302 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend and got to spend some time outside and friends and family and out on the East Coast. Hope that air cleared up and you actually got to get outside. I know that was kind of rough earlier in the week, and hopefully the weekend was a little bit better for you all. And we're going to kick off another week as we do here with a trip report. I know we haven't had one in a couple of weeks because we had some cancellations. You got a little Mike and Scott, and that might have been a little bit much. Maybe you liked it. I don't know. Depends what kind of podcast you like. My wife would have been like, Mike, do a trip report because we don't want to hear about what you think for 5 minutes on different topics. But hey, we're turning the show over to Kody today. We're going to hear about his recent trip. So we're actually headed right here in the Westplex in St. Charles County. Kody's right down the road in O'Fallon, Missouri. Kody, thanks for coming on the show today. Appreciate it. What's going on?
Hey, Mike, it's exciting. Like you said, you had some cancellations. I snuck in at the last minute and looking forward to discussing our trip from this past March.
I appreciate it. We span the globe like Wide World of, what was that? Wide World of Sports back in the day. We had a couple of weeks with listeners from Australia. That was wild. I was talking to them on a Wednesday night. It was Thursday morning there. It was tripping me out looking outside the bay there in Melbourne, and it was just wild. I couldn't put my brain around it. And right now, after we wrap up this show, we can meet at Andy's and get a Tiger Streak ice cream, in like 10
Exactly.
minutes. That's pretty sweet. We might have to do that. We'll just have to see.
It does sound good.
So before we get to your trip though, tell us a little bit of your background as a Disney fan. Like, how does it all start for you? Like, how do you find yourself like listen to your first Disney podcast or even go back before that? How's it all start?
Yeah, we went a little bit. I went once with my family growing up, but then met my wife when we were like 13, so I went with her family a few times as like teenagers, early 20s. But then is when we had our first kid, our oldest Nolan. He was 2 years old. We took him down there for his second birthday, and I think the thing that really hooked us was we went to meet Mickey Mouse at the Town Square Theater, and this is back when they did Mickey Mouse Was Talking.
Oh yeah.
So Mickey Mouse just made our day. Like, he's sitting there talking to Nolan. He probably spent at least 5 minutes with us. I'm sure the people behind us weren't too happy, but they're pretending to be trains. They're doing the hot dog dance. At one point, he like marches them out of the room. He says, "We'll see y'all later." And all of a sudden, they come back in, and we're all just there with some grandparents, and everybody's just getting a little dusty in the room and stuff. And I think from that point on, I think it was like, oh, we got to keep bringing our kids, constantly make these memories. And then I'm a big numbers guy, and like I love the planning of it
Yep.
all, and like,
Same.
oh, we got this many rides in. Let's go. Like, let's get here to the next lightning lane as fast as we can and stuff. I've learned to slow down a little bit, but I do love the feeling accomplished at the end of the day of like, oh man, we did all this and had a lot of fun. And I just love these trips are months in advance. It lasts a lot longer than just those week we're there.
That's a good point. So you're one of those folks who it's not just about the time that the wheels hit down at MCO till the time, wheels up when you leave. It's more the full experience, right? It's from the time you conceptualize the trip, from the time you put the deposit down and you're like, okay, we're starting to, discuss over dinner what our possible ADRs could be. And then at 60 days, we lay some ADRs down, then we modify them 45 days. So you're kind of one of those people that see the whole, it's like a 6-month experience rather than a 7-day trip.
Exactly. Yeah. It's gotten less now that we've gone enough. It's one of those like I don't have to plan a whole lot. Like I kind of know how things are going to go most of the way and adjust pretty quickly. So I don't need to go deep, minute to minute. But especially right now with the Cardinals not playing well, I'm definitely online a little more, looking at stuff and reading forums and chats and doing my research and having fun there, make myself feel better about that other stuff.
I'm sorry, but this was on Friday's podcast, but I got to give you one of these. If you mention the Cardinals, we can't do that on this podcast because I have enough misery in my in my Twitter feeds right now and in my TVs and radios. I can't have the Cardinals mentioned right now. My blood pressure just went up 10 points.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm off social media right now.
It's bad in St. Louis, people. It's terrible. And the thing is, like, Mizzou football hasn't even started yet. I don't know if you're a Mizzou football fan, but I'm a season ticket holder. I live and breathe Mizzou football. And I mean,
we are here.
You're setting yourself up for like getting your fingernails pulled out every fall. I mean, that's how it happens. I mean, like, but Cardinal baseball always is at least something. Anyway, we got to stop. So let's get into this trip because we got a lot to talk about. You went out with a large group, and I always think that these are the most fun trips to talk about because one, there's so many dynamics involved, but I think that this is the kind of trip that people have the most questions about because it's almost like one of those risk and reward situations. I think these can be the most memorable trips. These can be the best trips, but they can also be the trips where the wheels fall off the bus big time. You do have a lot of potential for all kinds of stuff going wrong, but let's take it all the way back to the beginning. How do you guys decide with this many people that we're all going to go together? Like, does this happen at Thanksgiving? You're carving the turkey. Somebody says, we need to go to Caribbean Beach in March. I mean, where did this idea come from? Were you celebrating something?
So we weren't celebrating anything. We just like to go. My aunt is the other kind of real big Disney nut in the family. So shout out to Aunt Sarah. But we have a lot of family dinners on Wednesdays. So typically what happens is me, my wife Jackie, And then we have 3 kids. They're 10, 7, and 4, Nolan, Easton, Charlotte. And we'll be like, hey, we're going on spring break here in March 2023. And this is like, probably summer of 2022. And does anybody want to go? And then it's like, somebody's here, like, yeah, I want to go. And then it's, oh, yep, here. And then all of a sudden now we have 12 people, going. And uh, I will definitely, I like to not controls, maybe this a strong word, but I like to do the planning and keep us all intact and everything. So I'll kind of take the reins, and the more people there, the more fun our kids have and stuff. So
Absolutely.
there's definitely a lot of challenges, and we'll talk through some of that as we go. But we've learned from past experiences. We've done a couple other big trips that we knew, hey, I'm going to plan some downtime for each individual group to decompress and have their own times themselves.
So let me ask you about before, like the planning before, because
Mhm.
not like once you're there and all that stuff. What kind of tools did you use? Because right now, I mean, obviously 10, 15 years ago, the tools would have been way different than, I mean, we live in a, you're so easily connected through Facebook Messenger, through text messages, but you also have, I mean, you could use a Google Sheet that's shared between the group. You could use, I mean, there's so many just free awesome tools for collaboration. Cause I mean, I'm sure with, like you said, Sarah's also somebody that's plugged in, and you had, different folks. So how did you get feedback from people and kind of put together what everybody was looking for so that everybody going into the trip got what they were looking for?
Yeah, so we do have like a Google Sheet, and it's mostly, and I've shared, like, it has like my packing list that will reference every time, like different things and like different rides in the different parks and different restaurants, things like that. Now that we've gone a few times, we don't kind of reference it as much, but a lot of it is like we'll get together for family dinner, and Sarah's like, hey, Shelby's family, that's my cousin. She wants to go to the storybook meal, and I'm like, well, we probably won't, so let's just plan a time, we'll go do something else while you're doing
Mhm.
that. Or hey, we're going to go to Ohana, they don't want to go, so we'll go do something else. So we kind of just, everybody kind of gave me exactly what they want, the kind of must do's on this trip, and then we kind of just tried to plan things around those times. About a week or two before, I made a list of, like, I gave them like, I wrote down, like, my family is going to be here from this time to this time, and here from this time to this time. And I was like, if you want to join me, let me know. If you don't like this, then try to plan something at that for yourselves at somewhere else. And that allowed me to kind of know, hey, this way. So a lot of it was kind of just over family dinners, discussions, and stuff like that. So since we usually
Good.
do a family dinner every Wednesday, we have a lot of discussions and had a lot of fun leading up to it, figuring things out.
It's a good idea too that you guys could be in person and having dinners real casual, just getting feedback while you're sharing some nice meals. I like that idea. I mean, it makes it easy though that you're all together. If you're spread out
Exactly.
around the country, obviously you're gonna need to use probably more online tools. Real quick though, you guys ended up at Caribbean Beach because so many resorts. You got deluxe, moderate, value, and you got different themes. Who won out on Caribbean Beach? Was that your call? Was that your jam or what? I mean, you're
You
in
know,
charge.
so so I was talking earlier about when we took our son when he was 2, and for a long time we would drive down, stay off property. Um, it was just we had so much stuff, these infants, things like that, and we just wanted to have our own space. As we got older, I stayed at Pop once, and like, oh man, this was kind of convenient. And then all of a sudden, it
Mhm.
was like
Yep.
we did it again. It was like, all right. And then the previous trip, I think it was October 2021, I believe, we did a split stay from Pop to Caribbean Beach. Part of it was like availability at Pop, and part of it was just some people want to try something different. But we're like, well, we want the Skyliner. We knew
Mhm.
Pop had we love the Skyliner at Pop, so we tried Caribbean Beach, and man, that the fifth sleeper was awesome since we have 5 in our room for our kids. And then just all of a sudden, like, we never used to take the breaks, go to the pools, and all of a sudden that trip, like, we had to go back. The kids love the water slides; they're just going down over and over.
Mhm.
And now that our kids are older and like they can go in the water without us, with their floaties and stuff, it just makes it so much easier for us to just relax, get a drink at one of the fruit, like these fruity drinks, non-alcoholic fruity drinks at the little
Yep.
bar there, go sit there, take a drink, and watch the kids play and have a good time. And a lot of pizza at the pool too. That's nice. Day break. So just knew we wanted to go back to Caribbean Beach after that trip, and we scheduled it, and we were not disappointed. It was a great place
That
to be.
sounds that sounds like vacation. I mean, that's exactly it. And Skyliner, great transportation, Epcot
Mhm.
Studios, centrally located. Great that pirate pool, that pirate theme
Oh,
pool is just
awesome.
It's incredible. I mean, nobody really talks about it, but it's just, I mean, it's almost like swimming in the Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, it is with the turrets and the slide, and like you said, you got the bar there, the Banana Cabana or whatever that is, right?
Yep.
It's got good food too.
And we
Um,
we have picky eaters, so like we'll just
oh,
we'll order a big one or two pizzas, bring it to the pool, everybody eats, and then just get dessert later when we go back to the park.
you're killing me. It's Monday and I don't want to work. I just want to be sitting there by the pool at Caribbean Beach, man, because they play with the calypso music, and
Yep.
it's about as good as you can get without being in the Caribbean itself. I'm just saying, going on a cruise here in a few weeks, and I'm ready to go now. It's like the closer it gets, the harder it is to work,
Oh,
and you're not
100%.
helping. So let's talk about getting down there though, because you flew out of St. Louis. You
Mhm.
got your big group. You guys all flew down together, like this big group of 12.
We did. We did. We made
Man,
it work.
you guys are like a wolf pack here. It's amazing. Okay, so we talked before we started recording, because
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting. We're in the same area here, that you typically do fly Southwest, which I always typically fly as well, because there's just numerous Southwest flights out of Lambert Airport, which is what we fly
Yeah.
out of. But I've also flown Frontier, which is a kind of an alternate airline out of Lambert Airport. I did it once, and because I was enticed by the low rate. I mean, really low rate we
Yeah.
got, but I ended up paying, and I still saved money. But we flew down with Mallory, my wife, and Mallory's friend for cheerleading. And by the time I had to, pay for their bags and their carry-ons, because I had two
Yeah.
teen girls and a wife, I didn't save a ton. And it just felt like I know that people don't like Southwest, like kettle, whatever they call it, the kettle call or whatever, where you line up 1 through 30, 31 through 60. I feel like Frontier was out of control, like at their gates, like compared to Southwest. It made Southwest feel like it was like totally controlled, like especially at MCO coming home. It was
Yeah.
wild. People were butting, and like I paid extra to get, I don't even remember what they called it. But like this lady just came in front of me, and like I want to fight her, but like, I'm not gonna fight a lady. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, lady, you did not pay, and you just right in front of me with like your bag of Doritos. I'm like, come on now. It was wild, like on Frontier, and it could have just been like a one off. I don't know, but I was like, okay, I'm going back to Southwest. And I know Southwest is like a budget airline. It's not like I'm flying, Delta or Virgin Airlines, or I don't know, give me a fancy one. But what was your experience? Because it totally could have been a one-off for me, and you said you had a pretty decent experience.
Yeah, we've fingers crossed have had pretty good luck with Frontier. I will say like the flight was originally supposed to get at like 3 p.m. and then like 2 months out it got changed to like 11 p.m. So I was like, because
Mm, yep,
we had plans to go to the pool and hang out
yep,
and things like that. So that part wasn't great. But you're right that I would definitely prefer Southwest. But the flights, it was spring break. The flights for Southwest were, you know,
yeah,
we have a
yeah.
wide range of budgets within that group of 12. So it was one of those like it was just going to be a lot round trip for everybody. So Frontier was like more than half the cost, even with bags and stuff.
Yeah. Well, see, I
S-
mean, that right there, I mean, you can put up with a whole lot for 50% less. Yeah.
Exactly. So what for my particular family, my wife Jackie, she is just like awesome at like packing tightly, it's like rolling stuff up, get it in there. And I learned the packing cubes from Pam, so we are a packing cube family, so that helps save space. Um, we were able to use my mother-in-law's suitcase a little bit, some other family members, we might throw some things in there. And then we had like 5 personal items, that have the stuff for the plane. Now Frontier is like real strict on if your bag is too big, they will charge you like as a carry-on. So we were very like conscious of that. Uh, but thankfully it was fine. So they do nickel and dime you because you have to pay a lot for bags. If you want to have your seats assigned, you have to pay for that, and it's
Yep.
a lot. One thing that did help us in that regard is we just didn't pay for seats, but they have these rules that like if the kid's under a certain age, a week out they will assign seats. It's like one adult will get the kids. So for my family of 5, they put me with one of my kids and my wife with the other 2 kids, and then same for my cousin. And then we just went ahead and bought, I think it was like 4 more seats for the rest of the family so that we could kind of have everybody somewhat close. But we weren't super concerned about if we had to be in the same across from each other, front and back. Like
Yeah.
we're not
To see
doing
each
all
other
that.
for the next 6 days.
So yeah, exactly. So that also saves. It's just a nice little tip that like, if you don't want to worry about seats, but you have young kids, you're going to get sat together. You're going to know. And then depending on where it is, you can change your mind if you don't like the seat they put you in. Now, one other thing I do like about having my seats beforehand compared to Southwest, I'm of the mind, like, I have my 3 kids, and I'm gonna be on this plane for 2.5 hours. I wanna be one of the very last people on this plane. I want them to sit in that seat the least amount possible.
Yeah.
So, Southwest, you have to get on, get your seats, but Frontier, I knew where I'm sitting. I don't care if I'm the last one on, I'm gonna have my seat, so I do like that aspect of, all right, I don't need to get on here till the very last second.
That's a good point. Because I don't travel with any little kids anymore. Like, most of the time I'm traveling by myself at this point. I'm excited that I'm going with my family here in a few weeks. And yeah, she's 15 now, the youngest. So it might, by the way, we're 3 weeks out as we record. My oldest still hasn't bought her ticket, and it's going to cost a fortune. And I've only been on there for like 4 months to buy her ticket because I'm paying for it. And I'm just going to give her only like what it would have cost her 4 months, and she's going to pay for the rest. So she's driving me crazy with that. So yeah, just you're looking for
It would drive me crazy.
Oh, dude, she's flying out of Chicago. There's probably 1,000 flights from Chicago to Orlando. I'm like, just take 5 minutes, get on the app, buy a flight. I could have bought you one, but I was leaving it to you so you can pick whichever one you want. I'll pay for it. Kids, I'm telling you, man, kids. Anyway, they don't get better when they're 26. So let's talk about. Let's kind of go day by day of your trip. So you get there into Orlando, you got your travel day. Did everybody travel well? I mean, with Frontier though, you got there late. It sounds like you said the plane got in 11.
Yeah, it was fine. And we got in after that. I don't remember the exact time. It was late. It was all a blur. We got 3 Ubers, like, to take the 12 of us. We thought about like mirrors, things like that, but we didn't know when we were getting in late. I wanted to be there as soon as possible. So I'm like, let's just do this. It's not going to be that much more expensive to just get 3 Ubers for this many people. So they picked us up, dropped us off, got checked in, and we got settled in late. It's, the kids are amped up, blah, blah, blah. It's just like a long process to get them to sleep, especially our youngest. She's not the best at going to sleep. One thing we learned from a past trip was we always have eye masks on us, and that seems to really help, one, them go to bed, and 2, sleep in or take naps in the park. We have a couple pictures of our youngest just like in a stroller with an eye mask on going through the parks because just shuts the brightness and all the craziness out. So that did help them. And then because we were getting in so late, that's why we kind of planned our next day the way we did. We didn't want to do anything super early. We wanted to let them sleep as long as they could and not push things.
Yeah, because I'm looking at your plan. I love this plan because, I mean, especially considering you got in late, but I think so many people get so excited day one, like, oh my gosh, I got to be there. It's extra magic hours. It's early morning hours, whatever they're calling it nowadays for resort guests. That, even though you got in at midnight, I don't care. Like, it's day one. I can do it. No, because your body still needs rest. And you got all that adrenaline, and it just makes it actually worse the next day. But you guys kicked it off. I think this is so perfect, especially for a large group. Ohana breakfast. It 10:50. It says in the notes.
Yep.
Perfect. Everybody, because you're not in a rush. Like,
exactly.
You just got to get over and just get a good meal in you, chill out, go to the Polynesian where it's laid back feeling anyway. And this is, in my opinion, one of the best breakfasts on property anyway. I love this character breakfast. And by the way, you sent some pictures. Cute pictures at this breakfast. They are adorable. But I mean, it's a great way to kick off. Did it work out for you guys?
Yeah, it did. I think it was a perfect start. So my aunt's family, her and my cousin, they decided they wanted to go to Epcot that day. They weren't going to do the after hours with us that night, so they wanted to kind of go to a park. But we did have my grandma and my mother-in-law come along with us, so it was nice. We had the group of 7, and we just had a ton of fun. My oldest isn't super into the characters, but he was perfectly fine. Just he had the window. He was just watching the kids at the pool, just ready for his turn later in the day. But our 2 youngest, man, they just, anytime the characters came by, they loved it. It was actually nice because they're clearing out to switch to lunch. So by the time we were done, there was like very few people left. So the characters, were spending a lot of time with us and taking their time, and we were seeing them. So that part was great. And yeah, it was just, the food is awesome. We love Pog juice so much. That special juice is so good. So we were excited to put some of that down. I think it's the sticky buns maybe they have there. Those were great. And it was a great start. It just was a nice, calm way to get everybody into the spirit and be ready. Polynesian's a great environment to be in, and it was really cool.
Yeah, I like the way too, everybody didn't have to go. Like, some people went,
exactly.
That's cool. Like, and I think that we've said this honestly since the podcast started, but I've really learned, like, a few years in, when you go with a large group, be cool with not being together the whole time. Meet up for meals. meet up in the parks for windows, but don't try to keep everybody together and say, okay, we came as a group. The whole focus of this trip is to go together. Yeah, it is to be together, but it's not to be together the entire time. Let everybody break off and do their little things. Or keep everybody happy. Because nobody's happy when everybody stays together in a group of 12. It's impossible. It just really is. And you started off the right way. So walk us through this day, because I'll make sure we get all this in the amount of time we have here. But you guys, you mentioned you're doing after hours at the end of the day. So how did you
Yep.
kind of pace yourself? Because that's one of those things where you got to take it easy throughout the day. You want to get stuff done, but you also got to
Yeah.
think about, okay, we're going to be up late.
Yeah, so we definitely planned this day because when we saw those after hours were available that day, we were like, it, we've done the we did like the Halloween parties, things like that. We love that kind of just environment where it's quiet. Uh, the nighttime at the parks is awesome. So we decided to sign that up. And like I said, the rest of my family didn't want to do the extra cost there, and they weren't huge Hollywood Studios fans where we are a little more. So we're like, well, you kind of just plan your own thing and we'll do this. So we did the Ohana breakfast, and then we just kind of like we're playing it chill. We went to the Grand Flow, took the monorail over there. That was calm. And they had all those Easter eggs made out of chocolate. The kids thought that was really cool. We let them get some sugary treats, even though they just had this breakfast. They couldn't help themselves. So they're eating those. And then we went back and let them swim for a little bit. And I don't know what it is about swimming. You think it would tire these kids out, but it just gets out that weird energy.
Yep.
Like it somehow refreshes them for the evening. I always for a long time I always thought, no, just gonna make them tired, but it's actually like a really good way to like let them get the craziness out, and then they are kind of ready to go. So I will say, so my Jackie had gone down. She's already ridden Guardians and loved it. Guardians of the Galaxy is like my favorite movies. I love them. I've been dying to ride, so I kind of knew that I was gonna have to ride this first day. So
Yeah.
we had added an extra day to my ticket. She had an annual pass. So after they swam for a little bit, we took them back to the room. My mother-in-law stayed with them, and we just like had them watch TV, try to just quiet room, dark, just let them calm for a while. And then we took off, and it was kind of nice. We got a little time to ourselves. We went over there. We did meet up with the rest of the group, and we rode Guardians using the individual lightning lane, and then turned around and rode the virtual queue. And man, it did not disappoint. We just said, oh, I love it. It's my favorite ride. I so thankfully I learned it in the wild. Like I used to not be able to do Dumbo, but thankfully Dramamine works for me.
I was gonna say,
And
what you get to do Dumbo and you did it back to back. I had the
I know.
opportunity. I had the opportunity to ride this thing for 6 hours as much as I wanted at the media event, and I was like, check please. I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
it, but I was like, I know my limits, man, because there was a lady behind me getting sick, and she was older than me, but I was not going to be the next sucker getting hauled off. I can tell you that because Pam would ride it.
Yeah, and I will say that I actually did get a tiny bit queasy at one point, but I had so much fun, and I was like, "Yep, let's go. I'm ready. I can do this." And well, I enjoyed it the second time. We got different songs each time, and I don't know, it's an awesome experience. It's a long coaster,
Yes.
and I was just super excited to finally get on it and enjoy it. Can't wait to ride it again here soon too.
No, it's a great it's an amazing attraction, and I'll do it again probably this summer with the girls
Well,
when we're
and
down because it's fun. I can do it once. I know it
yeah,
won't take me more once, but I just know I'm not 20 anymore. Even though
it's really just
I'm an idiot, but I know no I
it's
can't.
a great addition to Epcot too,
It is.
though. Like we were talking, like our before we like I think our first trip to Epcot, like Remy's wasn't there, Frozen wasn't there, Guardians wasn't there, and it's one of those like it has a lot to offer, but for like some of my kids, like they love those are like their three favorite rides there. So it's nice what they've done, and it's nice for them to put a ride that my 10-year-old is like super excited about. Like he's ready, rearing and ready to go and to ride it and stuff. So I'm just glad they have a big ride like that he's gonna enjoy.
That's a good point because it's you got your Sorens and you're living with the lands and your World Showcase pavilions, which are kind of my speed. Your spaceship Earth, stuff like that. But if you're 12, you want to ride something with a little bite to it, and there you go. So people are always asking though, give us a review of that Hollywood Studios After Hours, because people, you're just there, and this is probably going to get extended through the summer, I would imagine, at some point. So what'd you think?
Yeah, so I just think it's a great way to tour Hollywood studios. Like I feel I'm great with lightning lanes. That it's like I I feel very confident in going to Magic Kingdom and getting what we want done. If we have, because we'll always buy Genie Plus and do that stuff. Hollywood Studios is a little tougher because it feels like everything is like an e-ticket attraction there, so
Mhm.
like it's harder to get stuff. So I love the idea that we can kind of go in and I don't have to like sit here and stress about getting these different rides and all that. The kids love the unlimited ice cream and popsicles type stuff. They just think that's so cool. And we were excited to try it out, and we did have a great time. I think it was well worth the money in our opinion. We didn't. I think you can get in at 7 o'clock. We actually just didn't even get there till like I think we got in about 8:15. We were just in no rush. It's like we knew from 7 to 9 it was going to be busy. I'm like, I don't need to get in and deal with these crowds. Like we just want to be there for the event. So we got in, and I think we rode Runway Railway before the party started, and then once the party started, we kind of had, or right before the party started, we headed to Midway Mania. And I think one of my favorite things about something like this is like we just let the kids guide the night. Like if they wanted to ride something, that's where we went. So
Which is such a cool thing because I
exactly.
think you always want that for your kids on vacation, but
Mhm.
in a normal day, it's just not feasible because you have all the information, right? You have the data, you have it right there in your hand with all the wait times, and you can critically
Mhm.
see, the path of least resistance in the day. Kids can't see that; they just want to ride this. But in a situation that's a good point. In a situation like this where everything should be equal in low lines. I mean, because I'm looking at what you guys got done. It's amazing. Like this is like 3 days worth of attractions in normal operating times. Probably more than that. It's
Exactly.
incredible.
So we went in there like right before the party started. We got in line for Midway Mania, rode it, had a great time. The kids are like, "Oh, I want to ride again." I'm like, "I mean, we can."
Yeah.
We walked right back on. We get done, and the kids are like, "Can we just do one more time?" I'm like, "Sure, let's do it." So we
I
read
don't know.
Midway Mania like three
I don't know how your
times.
arms survived
Oh,
3 times in a row, man.
I
That's like,
was
dude, you're almost like Jacob DeGrom. You almost had to get Tommy John on that one. I mean, it's rough.
I was dying. I think that third game, I was going for the like. I was like, I'm gonna try to set an accuracy record, and I'm just like going boom, boom,
There you go.
boom.
Exactly.
I got to take a break, guys. But the kids were so they're so competitive. They love the gaming aspect of that. So I'm like, yeah, see, we can ride this 3 times. In a normal day, we might have the lightning lane, but they get out and it's a 45-minute wait, and we're just not gonna hop back in that line. So here we just go in, just got to walk through, and we're right back on. And the kids are just loving that kind of aspect to it. So we finished that 3 times, go ride swirling saucers. Although it did kind of break down right as we get on. We're like, we're not going to keep waiting. Like, we don't want to waste time on swirling saucers here.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I think at this point we'd already had one ice cream. So then we're going to Slinky, and it's about a 20-minute wait. So we grabbed another ice cream, and we're eating that on the way, and waited about 20 minutes, which is great for that. And there's no lightning lane, so the line's just moving. That's one
Yeah,
thing I like about
that is such a key because
exactly like
lightning lane, if you're standing by, just kills the standby. But
exactly
with no lightning lane, man, hit standbys are it's
yeah.
moving.
So
Yeah,
we're waiting, but we're walking the whole time,
yeah,
and the kids
100%.
are staying busy eating their ice cream, and boom, they finish
Oh,
up. We're at the front and do that. So we had fun doing that. We did Smuggler's Run because that's another gaming type ride the kids love, and we walked right onto that. We tried to go again, but I think it broke down because the line started getting long. So we went back, did Slinky again because that's what the kids wanted to do, and then of course we ride Midway Mania 2 more times. And my arm at this point is just hanging. I'm gonna need Tommy John or shoulder surgery or something after this. And then we grab I think it was my fifth ice cream of the night. Grab one of
oh,
those, hop back in the Slinky line, and finish the night right before it closed in Slinky.
that's a successful night, though. I mean, because
Yeah,
I mean, that's at least a day or two's worth of attractions, right? I mean, all the stuff. Obviously, you didn't do Rock and Roller Coaster wasn't open then, though. It was under refurb. And was Tower open that night, or you
So
guys just
Tower, so Tower was open. My two oldest were not going to do it. The oldest gets a little spooked of like dark spaces like that, so he likes like the Mission Breakout in Disneyland, but just the Tower of Terror creepiness factor kind of gets him. My 7-year-old can't do the drop, so we're just like, I'm not going to walk all
That's
the way
good.
over there
Yeah,
when
good point.
maybe just me wants to ride it. So we hung in. I mean, it was still worth it for just doing Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge. It's just
No, I mean,
great
hey,
time.
and you got a little Mickey and Minnie's in there too, and you ate plenty of ice cream. I mean,
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
And then
Yeah.
I think we took like 8 to 10 boxes of popcorn at the bottom of our stroller. We're taking it back for the next few days and
You're
loading
good.
up on waters and stuff. So
And if you're not watching the video, Cody will be out of the sling here in 6 to 8 weeks. Just kidding. He's good. Okay, so the next day looks like Typhoon Lagoon, Chicken Guy, and Magic Kingdom's what you had put for the heading for this day. So just give us some highlights from this day. The water park day. I haven't been to Typhoon Lagoon in ages, and I really kind of miss this place.
yeah, so that was so now, now we're going to bed again super late. One
Yeah.
thing I'll mention is Like if you're leaving these things and you're at one of the Skyliner resorts, the Skyliners are closed afterwards. So that was a little bit of a hic. Like it's
Oh,
fine. We took a
yeah.
bus, but it was
Yeah.
like, not realizing we're like, oh, like now I
I
gotta
know
wait.
you feel like a second class citizen, right? Because you're like, I should be at the Skyliner because I'm at the Caribbean Beach. I know what you're thinking. I feel the
Yeah.
same way that I'm
So
about.
we got in. Everybody went to bed pretty quick, which is good. And then this was another day where like, okay, we're going to Typhoon Lagoon. No need to rush. Everybody, no, I'm not. Everybody just stay in bed as long as you possibly can. So it was good. Everybody slept, did a good job sleeping in. So we got up, got ready. The whole group went to Typhoon Lagoon. That's a little bit of a trek, with all the going to Disney Springs and
Yep.
switching buses, but it was well worth it. We had never been there, and it was just a highlight, like one of the highlights for my 10-year-old. Like part of the reason we did like the after hours Typhoon Lagoon was just, as he gets older, some of the rides aren't as super cool to him. So it was kind of fun to do some of these new things that he could do, free ice cream, water
Yeah.
park, all these big
Yeah.
slides. And he's a little more adventurous now. So he was loving doing the big slides with my wife. I was kind of keeping the other ones. They love the wave pool and stuff. So,
Let me ask you, is the wave pool still like insane? Like that wave?
oh,
I mean, is it still,
I don't know how often it was, but that
I think
one
I might have
wave
got my
is
second and third
insane.
concussion from that thing because I lost a good pair of sunglasses to a wave there one time. Like I just got blasted. My sunglasses.
Yes. So my grandma was there, and she was in there, and it nearly took her with it. And she wasn't even very deep, but it is very very crazy. So we were always prepared, like, oh, I already grab somebody's
Yeah,
hand.
exactly. I mean, I was talking about my 26-year-old Paige who will not buy her plane ticket right now. But when we used to go there when she was like 9 and a skinny little soccer player, I was in there with her, and man, one of those waves came, and that wave hit me, and I did not know where she ended up. Like she was, I was like, Paige, and she was like 30 feet from me. I mean, it blasted us. Like that is no joke. Like it is. They need to maybe turn that thing down to maybe 10. I think they got it set on 11. That thing is insane. But
Agreed.
I think it's just for the enjoyment of the lifeguards.
I
Um,
think so too.
that's a good way. I like that though. After hours event, water park, because water park is something. If you get there, if you rope drop a water park or get there a couple hours in, the only thing you're really missing out is like a great seat under a tree, like a lounger. But otherwise,
Exactly.
I mean, in some of the water slide lines will be a little bit longer. But if you're gonna do the wave pool you can walk in anytime, or
Yeah.
the lazy river or stuff like that. Not a big deal.
The lines were never a hindrance to us. It was never that bad, and I think it was great for us to sleep in, have a good day. We knew we were going to go Magic Kingdom that night, so I'd have an alarm, and every couple hours I'd book a lightning lane, stack them for the evening, and we were set to go for later in the night.
It's good. Real quick, Chicken Guy though for lunch. You said for your
Yeah,
picky eaters. I like Chicken Guy. I think
yeah,
it's.
absolutely.
I mean, they have a good actually salad that has some good chicken strips on top, some cool dressings. So, do you guys like it too?
Yeah, the kids will eat the chicken tenders there, and I think it's just perfect for them. So it's nice because like we go to Disney Springs from Typhoon Lagoon, so I don't think we're really planning on eating there, but we're like, we're stopped here. Let's just go eat our meal and then go get ready for Magic Kingdom. So we went ahead, ate that, headed back to the room, and then this was like maybe the biggest hiccup of the whole trip for me was, Tron was actually it was in its soft opening, so we were super excited that we got to go down there. It was going to be open, so it was supposed to open April 1st. We were a little disappointed, but now we get this news, soft opening. So I wake up that morning, I buy an individual lightning lane, I think for like 6 o'clock, thinking, all right, that's plenty of time. We'll get to the park. So I get ready after we're done, and I'm like I'm kind of standing outside the room. Nobody's coming out from the other rooms, from our room. I'm
Oh
like,
no.
oh no, guys, like I, I said, we got to leave at this time. And now it's like 10 minutes later. I'm like, oh boy, the
Let's
buses that
go.
just got here. Uh-oh. So I'm like racing ahead, trying to get to the bus stop. And I'm like, I'll slow the bus down, but it pulls out. And I'm just like, oh no. And then it says like, it'll be here in 20 minutes. I'm like, it's going to be cutting it tight. And all of a sudden it said like 40 minutes. And I was like,
Oh yeah.
I was like, hey, I'm going to take a little walk just behind the shelter here for a minute.
Yeah. Been there. Been there. You're ready. Like I'm always one's ready, right? I'm like, oh, let's
And it's
go.
like, and it's one of those like,
You can't say anything either.
I love the planning and stuff, and it's just like, please, like I just need this time. But I understand it was a long day.
Yep.
Anyways, so all of a sudden a bus pops up, and it says it's going to Magic Kingdom. Wasn't even on the schedule, and I was like, oh, thank you. So I'm like, we're gonna get there like with 15 minutes to get to the ride because I knew they were being super strict on
Yep.
like letting people late. So we kind of took the people that were able to ride, left kind of the younger kids and the slower group behind, and after we got checked in and kind of took off, and I think we got in with like maybe 3-4 minutes to spare. So we got on, had a great time, loved it. I took it once I tapped that band and it turned green. I was like, oh, all right.
Well, I mean that's how
We're good.
Walt intended it, like
Exactly,
survival of the fastest.
exactly.
Like exactly, like, that's how I drew it up in 55. If you're slow, you don't get to ride the coaster. I would leave you on Main
So
Street.
so thankfully everybody that got left wasn't planning on riding, so that part was good. But
Have
we
an ice cream kid. Here's the magic band.
yes, exactly.
You're gonna have that later.
I almost took off, and I was like, oh, then I was like, oh crap, I would have left them when I had the kids' fingerprints. I'm like, oh gosh, this would have been. Thankfully, I hung in there long enough, and
We would get
took a couple
along
deep
well.
breaths, checked in, had a great time, and then from that point on, we went around Tomorrowland. We went through, did the Speedway, through Fantasyland, Storybook. We kind of knew like we were getting there late. The park was open till 11. We weren't planning on staying that late, but we were like, we've been here before 1. We're coming back on a later day. We don't need to rush through. We had some lightning lanes. We knew we'd have some fun and just let the kids kind of, once we get through some of these lightning lanes, guide it. So I had actually set my lightning lanes up to like Buzz, Speedway, teacups type stuff. Barnes, I wanted to limit. We had very young kids from 4 months all the way to 69. So I was like, I want to make sure we're
Yeah,
going
you're not going
limiting
zigzagging.
steps. We need to
Yeah.
walk
You're
in
not
a
going
circle.
Haunted Mansion, Space Mountain, Big Thunder, Buzz, stuff like that. Yeah.
I pride myself on just the least amount of steps we can do while we're in the parks because you want to do that. So we had a great time. Another great memory was we got on Winnie the Pooh while the fireworks were going off. Come out, and my youngest Charlotte and my cousin's daughter Finley, they were watching the fireworks like after we left the exit to Winnie the Pooh in the distance, and we just got some really cool pictures my wife took of just like it looks like photoshopped how great it was, and they were loving listening to the song and all that stuff. And you know, Enchantment, it was Enchantment it's still at the time, and that's fine. We didn't see a need to go watch it just because my oldest aren't really big on fireworks, but the youngest ones, they just loved watching the fireworks off in the distance, listening to music, and that was just a really cool way to kind of want to wrap up that day.
And there's
Except for
something
the ice cream. I
I
got
mean,
ice cream that
you
night.
left it with ice cream. I mean,
Yes,
if you
yes.
leave the Magic Kingdom without having ice cream at the end of the night, I question if it was a good
Exactly.
day.
Exactly.
I mean, same with Disneyland. Gibson Girl, got to get it. You mobile order out there, which is
Oh,
my
it
god,
is
holy cow! That you can
game
mobile order
changer.
ice cream. I mean, come on now. Like when I saw that last July, I'm like, you can mobile order ice cream on Main Street. What?
I had to take my kids back, one of the kids back at one point on our trip to Disneyland, and I was like, you know what? I'm in the far back of the park. Let's just let him place an order real quick. I'll eat it on the way back.
That's the greatest. I was like, I told Scott, I was like, oh man, this might be better than like giving me a new land. You can mobile order ice cream on Main Street. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, you're right though. Sometimes it's happen upon the fireworks. I know like everybody's looking for the perfect spot, the fireworks dessert party. Some of my best memories of fireworks have not been watching projections. This has been like popping out of Small World and like, oh, I'm seeing them from the backside of the castle. Like
Yeah.
just seeing them though. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Yeah, I like this stuff. Okay, so I'll make sure to get this. So next day is Epcot Day with a little break in the middle. So how'd that go?
Yeah. So again, we were at Magic Kingdom late. I was just like, let just everybody reach out to me when you wake up. I'm not going to push a time here. We have the day. I'll book some lightning lanes so we're ready in the morning. So we went ahead and I don't know when we got to the park 10, 11. Everybody was a little slow, kind of feeling it from the the first 2 days and stuff, but we had fun exploring World Showcase. We kind of split off in groups here. I kind of knew that my aunt and cousins family, they love to kind of do the snacking and look at the countries and stuff. My family of 5, we're not super into that part of it. So we kind of what we did is I think I took the kids and we did the DuckTales adventure game, and that's just a great way to explore those different countries for the kids. It's really cool interactive things. The phone will send you certain places. You'll do something on the game, answer a question based off the window you're looking at, and all of a sudden the window will fill with water, or like something will shoot off in the distance in the Mexico Pavilion. And the kids all thought that was really cool, and they just love the scavenger hunt part to it. So if you have kids that might not be super excited, but you have a group like that, it's just a great way to have some fun, looking at different things, going to shops you wouldn't normally go to, and
Right.
um,
Yeah.
we enjoyed that a lot.
Last time I did that, that was Kim Possible. But I mean, that's how old I am. Like, and you didn't use your own cell phone. They gave you one. Like,
Yeah,
it was like a
we did it
Nokia.
with the Phineas and Ferb, I think it was when we
Yeah,
first did it.
yeah, but it was kind of the same thing, right? Stuff with like in the distance, like something would pop out of like a peak of a window,
It's
or something. But it
it's
was
very similar, that's for sure.
yeah,
Very
it's so cool.
some same spots and stuff, but
Absolutely, it's a great idea. It's a great idea to go around and
yeah.
do things.
And my
So you
kids
guys,
love the scavenger hunt, so they have like the flower the festival going on. They have
Mhm.
the scavenger hunts there, so we were doing those too and doing that, and then we did do like the Grand Fiesta Tour, Frozen Ever After, and then we did Remy's before we headed back to the room for a little pool break and just kind of downtime for. I think my grandma just kind of relaxed for a bit. My mother-in-law, I think my mother-in-law and Jackie, my wife, they took naps while I took the kids to the pool, and I'm sitting here like booking lightning lanes. I'm just like, you all recover, and we'll go full on tonight.
it's good to have somebody stacking those lightning lanes because I'd have been taking the nap.
Yeah.
I get up super early, run, and take naps in the afternoon. All right. So how'd it go though when you guys bounced back in the evening? Because obviously you had some lightning lanes kind of in your pocket and it cools off. I mean, I don't know if the weather. How was the weather in March? Was it hot yet?
The first like 4 days of our trip were like low 80s. I mean, it was just great. Some of the best weather we've ever had on a Disney trip. Towards the end, it got a little hot, but we were fine by that. So it was a pleasant evening. No worries there. We didn't do a ton that evening. I think we got on test track, and then we did the virtual queue for Guardians. We didn't have individual lightning lane that day, and we waited about an hour, so we got in line like close to closing. That was another time where the group was kind of taking it a little slow, and I didn't want to wait that long because I knew the line got long there. But it was the one chance for our 7 and 4-year-old to do the ride, so we were like, "It's fine, we'll wait." They weren't like super patient, but I think it was during like a Final Four basketball game. So my youngest's bracket was still in play. So I'm like, here, just watch the game. You can you can keep an eye on this. My 4-year-old was like just the tiniest bit away from riding it. So she was very disappointed, but my mother-in-law took her and got her a little stuffed animal, and that saved the day, and they went back to the room and relaxed.
Yeah, buying a souvenir cures everything usually
Yeah.
in most cases, and in my case, she won.
So
And
Nolan and Easton, they loved the ride. They can't wait to do it again. We just all had a great time. And so then the park was closed. We had to do it's just like I knew the timing was gonna be horrible. We get off, Harmonious is like finishing up.
oh, when you're behind the harmonic, like
Yeah,
when you see it end and like you're in the back of the fireworks crowd, you're just like,
yeah.
oh,
And we gotta get to the Skyliner. So we gotta walk from Guardians all the way to International Gateway. So like the lines for the Skyliner were just like, oh no, like should we walk somewhere else? But we just got in, and as terrible as it looked, it was, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes. So it wasn't anything like, it was not a whole lot different than waiting for a bus. It just felt terrible because how long the line was. Um, but we got on, got back, got some rest, and survived.
That
But
is
it was worth it for Guardians.
that and the Skyliner. That's exactly right. I mean, I've been there. I was there the last night of Illuminations. I was there the night the Skyliner opened. I went down for the Skyliner opening day. I
Hmm.
was so excited about it. And both times, like the Skyliner line has been great. I mean, almost like to the bridge heading over
Yeah.
to the boardwalk. I mean,
Yep,
that's where you
that's where
got
it was. Yeah.
it was ridiculous. Like I'm like, what am I in line for? Because this is way I could almost get an ice cream. Like it's boardwalk so far. But speaking of it's an ice cream show. But the thing is, like it's like a omni mover, right? Because as long as there's good weather, it just keeps on moving, and it's just more comfortable than a bus. Like, I'm not going to be like sitting in somebody's armpit, like because I'm always standing, obviously, in a bus, so it's
Exactly.
fine.
And it's a like, I don't know, one of the greatest additions. Like I
Oh,
own like all these little Skyliner little figurines and like
same.
some popcorn Skyliner buckets. Like I just love all the everything Skyliner.
Exactly. Yeah, it's over there now because I
Yeah.
dropped it, broke. Okay, so next day, here's one thing I want to hear about the Caring for Giants you guys
Yep.
did in Wilderness Explorers over at Animal Kingdom, and oh my, the speaking of the most wild experience of all, you guys went to the outlets and then you did some swimming.
No, not me. Not me. Not
Okay,
me.
all right. Okay, good. I was thinking, never am I did once with Scott, and I probably almost ended in jail when somebody tried to book me on a carnival cruise. I had those kiosks in the middle. I'm like, dude, don't make me fight you because I'd run the full marathon that day. I'm like, I'm about to knock you out. Leave me alone. I don't want to book a carnival cruise. No, just tell us about this day though, because you start off with a tour, which I think is really cool, especially for kids your age.
Yeah. So We got there a little later, but so we just don't do a ton of rides at Animal Kingdom. Me and Jackie love Everest. It's our favorite coaster, but none of our kids will ride it because of that dang Yeti that doesn't even move. I'm like, why are we scared of this like thing that's just still? But so we kind of knew going in it'd just be like a lot of wilderness explorers. But my oldest Nolan, his favorite animal's an elephant. So we had wanted to do this a few years back for his birthday, but then they just didn't have it around because of COVID and
Mhm.
everything. So we ended up this trip, we're like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. Let's go ahead and do it. And it's really a reasonable price for what it is. So it was just so cool. We have a guide. I think there was about 10 to, or well, it was us five and my mother-in-law on this one. The rest of the group was just went off and did some other rides while we were there that we weren't going to do. So we went. I think it was like 12-ish of us. So we went backstage. We got on a little bus, and they took us to where the elephant area is. But it was just great learning on the ride. Seeing some of that backstage stuff the kids thought was cool. It's not like it broke any of the magic for them at all.
Mhm.
Um, so you're not like a crazy amount closer than like if you're on the safari, but you're sitting there and she's explaining things and they're coming out. And at first there was none there, and she's like, "Well, sometimes they're not. We can't really change anything." And we're like, "Oh boy, this
Great.
is not going to be great." But then, like within like 2 minutes, four of them came over, and it was like the group of female elephants, and she was just telling cool stories about them and everything. And we just thought it was a lot of fun learning about it. The kids got to hold elephant poop, so that was interesting.
Oh, there
Little,
you go.
yeah,
Paying your extra whole little,
yeah,
yeah. Interesting.
exactly. But those,
Hopefully it was not yesterday's, I'm hoping.
yeah. So it was definitely sterile. Thankfully, it was
Yeah,
all clean
good
and all
deal.
that. But they thought that was funny and got a good kick out of that and some different things. So our guy, these guides, they're just so good at what they do and keeping the kids entertained, taking questions, letting them, keeping them engaged. So that was good. Um, and then we took the bus back, and one like just a crazy experience. She stops the bus because she's under off to the right is a like another bus just parked, and under it is this like eagle and snake, and they're literally like facing off. The snake's like hunched up, ready to snap, and the hawk has its wing spread, and we just sit there for like 3-4 minutes, just like watching this like one kind of go and the other one kind of go, and then eventually we had to like leave. But it was just like the weirdest little adventure on our way back.
So nobody knows, what
We
happened?
don't know it. We don't know what happened in the end. We had to get back, but we were excited to watch
Today's podcast is a choose your own adventure, people.
it. Yeah. Who
You
won?
pick the ending. Who won? If it was a hawk, well, I was a Hazelwood Central Hawk, so let's don't
Okay.
have the hawk lose. Yeah, the snake.
It was the more aggressive one, so I think it might have gotten it.
Especially if it was an eagle. The eagle had to have won. Okay, so but you guys, it sounds like it was a lot of fun. I mean, that's one of those things. I've done a lot of tours, but I've never done that one, and that is high on my list to give a shot to because I've never done one at the Animal Kingdom. I've never gotten
Yeah.
close to the animals. So, I mean, you don't
So
get close, but just a little backstage.
yeah. And since we don't do a ton of rides, it's a good place for us to do a tour. It kind of fills in the day and gives the kids some extra to do. Um, so after we're done with that, this is when the real like exploration into the jungle was, where all the ladies went to the outlets trying to deal with that craziness there.
Man,
So they all took an Uber. I stayed with it was me and the three kids, my three kids. We stayed, and my kids were just determined to do every Wilderness Explorer badge. So we did a bunch before the tour, and we trekked all over the place, and we accomplished our goal. Right as my wife and mother-in-law were getting back, they kind of were meeting us back at the park while the rest of the family went to do the storybook dining. So they came back, and we did it. We finished. We were tired, a lot of steps in, but the kids had a lot of fun, and they loved doing that kind of stuff.
as rough as that sounds, I'd have taken 50 kids for every Wilderness Explorer outpost rather than go to the outlet for 30 minutes. That is just, I know all of our UK friends and all of our overseas friends are like, but Mike, we go to the outlets and we come home with 1,000 pounds worth of food or with clothes. I'm like, I'm telling you, they're made for you guys. No, I buy my stuff online. I don't even
Exactly. Exactly.
If I need something, it's always online. I don't leave my house hardly anymore because I can't deal with shops. Okay,
Yeah.
it looks like last day was your big Magic Kingdom day. What a day to go out. So let's, because we got a few minutes here. How'd that go?
It was good. So the other group, they went to do Crystal Palace, and then they got my cousin's daughter her first haircut at the barbershop. So they had a
Oh,
really
that's
fun time with
great.
that. They had a really cool experience with there. We got in. We weren't gonna rush in because we weren't gonna meet up with them till like afternoon, close to 1 o'clock. So we kind of knew we can get there a little late. We'll do some lightning lanes as we get there. So we did some of the stuff we had done the previous day. Tomorrowland, my Charlotte loves Barnstormer, so we just had to make sure we got that in before too long, squeeze that in. And then we met up and did a lot of like Adventureland and all that stuff. But obviously we got some ice cream over there. We did the citrus type stuff this go around, but got to have some ice cream out there in Adventureland.
Mhm.
And then we just kind of one thing I'll say is my daughter had the cutest little Winnie the Pooh kind of themed outfit. So the first thing we did do was go meet Pooh and Tigger. Waited in line for that and got some great pictures there. So that was a lot of. It's just always we love the characters and love seeing them. The oldest, the kids are getting a little older. So some of the Nolan has no interest in it, but our two youngest they love it, and we make it a point to make sure we see some characters.
Let me stop here for just 1 second because I have to ask you this because you just this is just the travel agent in me. I think. Have you guys ever done a Disney cruise or thought about it?
So
If you guys are the target audience, and I'll tell you why, because you're big into characters, you're really into I think you really like being in like that Disney kind of bubble feel and ice cream. I'm telling you what, man,
Yeah.
there's an ice cream machine on deck, dude. It is crazy. I eat an insane amount of ice cream on every cruise. I'm just saying, I think because I think you especially would enjoy it, but I'm just curious
Oh
because
no,
they are so much fun.
you've sold me over these years on the podcast, Mike.
I'm thinking about you would have you would have so much fun with us sometime.
Yeah. We have some fears of the family has some fears of the whole like middle of the ocean thing. We're trying to work past it so we can eventually maybe do it. My cousin's family is going next year, so hopefully maybe that experience will kind of firsthand experience might guide us in the right direction. But
I just wonder because it sounds like you guys would have a ball. My wife's the same way about cruises. She's like because we always get a veranda because I always want one, but she won't go out there. Like she's a Missouri, she's a Missouri girl, tried and true. Like I'll be out there. I love the sound of the ocean, the smell. I'm hanging out at night. I love looking at. She's like, "You're gonna fall in. Nobody's ever gonna find you." I'm like, "I am not gonna fall in. I'm good." Like, but she's like, "Close that door." I'm like, "I paid all this money for this veranda. I am gonna use it." But yeah, she's a Missouri girl, and I mean, it's a legit concern, but it's beautiful. It's really. I was just wondering because it's a cool way to see Disney. It's so chill though. I mean, no lines to get in anywhere.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I was just wondering.
No,
You're nailing like especially with characters because they're everywhere on the ship. I mean, everywhere.
Yep.
You'd love it. Okay, real quick. So you guys didn't mean to cut you off there, but how'd you wrap up today? It looks like you got to do Tron one more time, maybe.
Yeah, we did. We had a late individual lightning lane for Tron, so we went ahead and got to ride. Our middle kid, Easton, he was just like the tiniest bit short. So they actually went through the first one. And I think they even like measured him twice and he was okay. But then he got to like right when they did like the lockers and they said he was too short. So he was disappointed, but we were able to get him on Space Mountain while they rode Tron, and that kind of helped alleviate some of the pain.
Yeah.
But I just wish I was like, I wish it was just like if they get into the first one.
I agree. That's the worst. Like, the false hope. I mean, but I'll tell you what, I've only ridden Tron once when I was down for springtime surprise races, and I was actually on the light cycle and I got busted because I had a fanny pack on. Like they saw it. They're like, we have a fanny pack, and they made me get off and do a walk of shame all the way back up to the locker. It was so embarrassing, and I didn't even realize I had the stupid thing on because I only had it on because I was scared I was going to lose my iPad, my AirPods, because it kept falling out of my pocket. They're so slick, that little plastic. I was like, could you embarrass me anymore that I have a fanny pack on under, I had it under my shirt that I went and got on, it popped out.
I'm a fanny pack fan though. Like I have like all like the extras in my fanny pack, like extra contacts, hair ties, floss picks. I got it all, I'm pulling it out if we need something. So I'm always going to be ready.
Mine was rocking though because it was a Guardians of the Galaxy one that we got at the media event, so it was
really
jealous
of your fanny pack.
Cool looking. Yeah, I mean it's a cool looking one, but I had it hidden. But man, that dude caught me and he just yelled it so loud. He's like, "Fanny pack!" And just shut everything down and made me get off. I was like, "Oh man, I'm so embarrassed," because I'm there by myself. I was with nobody.
Well, I just admitted I'm jealous of your fanny pack. So on a podcast, it's gonna be listened by a lot of people. So that's always not great.
I'll have to wear it when I'm done in July. Just I'll be rocking it on the outside. Okay, because I think
I'll say this about Tron. We did enjoy it. I'll say this as another ride that this was great for my 10-year-old. It's a good addition to the park for that standpoint. Like he's excited to go to Magic Kingdom for that. If it was just like I don't have to ride it, he does, but like it's not like a must do for me. But it is. I like having some of these rides as our kids are getting older, so it's nice to have some of these Guardians, Tron type rides that they've added recently for some older kids thrill rides like that.
I agree with you, but here's the thing: I wish they would have like Tron. This is just me. Tron, even Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, just like as regular rides. You know what I'm saying? Just like on the same playing field as Space Mountain, as Big Thunder Mountain. Just everything kind of in the same vein. It's just like it's another coaster you can experience throughout the day. You don't have to go through all the 7 o'clock a.m. rigmarole or buying the individual lightning lane. I know it's a revenue source, but just make it. You go in the park that day. It's another option. It's something else to do with your admission to the park. Just make things, because I think Disney is trying to, because of tons of guest feedback that they've been getting in surveys, because they've obviously changed things because of that in 2024 coming up. Simplify. And I think that'd be a great way to simplify. You pay your ticket, you go in, everything here, just get in. I mean, I did even see, I don't know how you said you've been off social media, but I saw even today as we record that they're putting in an extended queue, like physical, like, almost like switchback posts outside of Guardians. So,
oh, wow. Interesting.
What's that tell you? I mean, maybe the virtual queue days are, who knows? You read into that what you want. Who knows? Because I mean, they used actually for the after hours event a couple weeks back. They used actually a standby line for the first time. So, and I just like this. I like the logistics of Disney, like as much as I do the whole going.
Oh,
just like how operations all fall in.
Yeah, and I'll say because we, like you're saying, like we went like October 2020, I think it was, and I mean it was a whole different experience because like there was no lightning lanes, fast pass, and it was just a whole different kind of trip. Like we just got in line if we wanted to ride something, and the line moved.
Simple and so it was so easy. Yeah, I went in August of 2020, and it was just like, oh, it's so simple. Just
I know,
ride.
And things were limited, so it made sense that it was easier to go. So when they have these big crowds, it is harder. I'll say like I'm very good at the planning aspect of it and like booking lightning lanes and doing the virtual queues. So like we don't really wait a lot, but I think just for a normal guest, like I can take advantage of this stuff and we're willing to pay the extra money.
Mm-hmm.
But as a normal guest, I mean, it's like trying to tell somebody about this stuff is just hard.
I agree. But I mean, I think though, if you took out, individual lightning lanes and, how virtual queues and stuff like that, I think that benefits the first timer because it takes it back to, and not that I say Disney's like a Six Flags, but it takes it back to the least common denominator. Like you go through the gates and you just ride rides, and you could still have Genie Plus, right? Because I mean, even Six Flags has whatever their system is where you can buy some kind of a thing to have shorter lines. That's fine. But I just think there's so much, like I say, if you try to explain this to somebody who's new to it, it's like calculus. It's like, okay, I'm going to give you this today. Tomorrow we're going to go to the next level. Then we're going to do this. And it's just, it is kind of confusing, which I do think Disney does need to simplify it a little bit, even though, they have this level of income, then this revenue stream, then this level, but eventually it just gets too, abstract for people to understand how to have a great day. And the bottom line is people have to go home and say they had a great day. They can't go home and say it was confusing.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, we get it, but we're also way in, over our heads. We're invested more than most people are. So, real quick though, you wrapped up the night though with some obviously ice cream, and I love the way you went back to the hotel and swam. I think that's a great way to wrap up a vacation.
Yeah. So we had a great finish to the trip. We did have an early flight the next day, but we knew we wanted the kids to kind of just go back, have one last hurrah there. I was getting a little it was getting a little late at the pool, and I was like, we should leave by this time. And it was like 15 minutes past that time and 20 minutes past that time because we had to get packed still, and our flight was like super early. But I'm like, oh, I'll just hang in there. So we got packed up, and the kids, they went to bed. We had to wake them up early. Got to the airport, and we got home. And within, I don't know, a couple weeks, I was having Disney Blues, downloading the PhotoPass photos. Within 24 hours of that, I'm putting together an Excel sheet, sending it to my wife, and we're emailing you saying, hey, can you book us a trip for July?
That's how you do it. I know, because Mallory's
And that's
already,
on top of our Disneyland trip that we already had booked for October. But it's like, we got to get back soon.
trust me, just, we're 3 weeks plus a couple days out from the podcast cruise, and Mallory's already like, so we got to do a longer cruise next time. I'm like, Mallory, we haven't gone on this one yet. I mean, she's my kid, right? She's like, but I'm gonna be sad when we get off the cruise. I'm like, it's 3 weeks, we haven't even got on the cruise yet. What she's doing is she's speaking what's in my heart already. It's like,
Exactly.
stop. You're saying out loud what I'm already thinking, because it's going to go too fast, but you're right. I mean, you got to kind of think about the next time. All right, we've gone way long, and I won't keep you that long. Real quick, as we wrap this show up, though, one memory or lesson learned, because I mean, you've given so many great nuggets of information for folks traveling with large parties, even with just a family of 5. But what would you tell folks? Like, what was the lesson learned, or just the memory you're going to keep from this vacation? Because you take so many, but every vacation is unique. So what was the lesson out of this one, or the story?
So I think 2 things. First would be, so my oldest, Nolan, the previous trip or 2, he hadn't been like, well, he loved Disneyland, but the previous trips to Disney World, he'd been a little less excited about some of the rides and stuff. So I think, realizing like, hey, let's mix in some different things like the water park, the after hours, where we used to go park to park all day. I think mixing things in that are exciting to these kids as they get older, and doing a lot more pool time, water slides, just it was so fun to watch him have fun, just like even just playing ping pong at Caribbean Beach,
Right.
like giving him time to do stuff and not just have to do what we tell him to do. I think that was part of the reason I wanted to get back so soon. I just was excited to see him excited to be there and spending family time and getting off these rides, big rides, and having a good time. And then, yeah, just kind of circling back on, as a big group, just you got to build that time in for split up. I'm sure a lot of people that come onto your podcast doing these trip reports are the planners, you would think. So I know for me, like, if I have that group of 12 with me, I'm sitting here thinking like, I want to make everybody happy. I want to make
Right.
sure we get everybody done. So there's a lot of stress that gets involved there. So it's one good for me to decompress from like feeling responsible for everyone. Um, and then I think too, like if I'm always guiding things, I feel like people might think they're missing out on things, or they're hearing me constantly tell them what to do. So I think it's also good for the rest of the group to kind of split up and have their own
Yes.
decisions to make and things like that. So we did a real good job, I think, of that. But we still made a lot of good family memories, got good pictures. We were together as a 12 quite a bit, and did a lot of rides together, and just it was a very memorable trip, and I can't wait to get back.
It sounds like everybody had a good time. That's the bottom line. And, you balance that very well, because, I've heard, there's people that try to stay together the whole time, and it just does
Yeah.
not work. You have
And
and the thing is, everybody has the best intentions. Like, I
exactly.
know their heart's in the right place, but like you said, people, they won't say it, but they just need a little time to go, I won't say it out loud, but I'd really like to go do this. But, the rest of the group might not want to do that. And you're giving permit when you give permission. That's a great thing, to say, going,
Exactly.
it's cool. We don't have to
Yeah,
get
and
all.
they did different dining than we did, and it's just like everybody has different tastes. Like, just it can be your own trip too. And one of the things we love about Disney, we had a 4-month-old all the way through a 69-year-old, and it's just everybody's having fun together. And how many different places are you going to have that kind of ability to do? So
Absolutely. Cool. Well, hey, Kody, I appreciate you taking the time. I know we went a little bit long, but thanks for hanging out with us, and have a good time next month. We'll be down there as well. And we'll have to talk about that trip and all that good stuff coming up, Disneyland as well. And just, again, appreciate the time, and thanks for sharing all those
absolutely.
memories.
Thank you, Mike. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Don't forget, our show is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney vacation, whether it's to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney. Just swing by the website today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's over at beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. Anytime you buy anything on Amazon, like this week, I had to buy a screen protector for my iPhone. Wonder why? Because I dropped it. So if you need to buy anything like that, just click through beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. That helps support the show. And thank you to our Patreon subscribers who support the show. You guys make all these podcasts possible. And our Patreon subscribers get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. So if you'd like to support us over there, come on over. Patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. We will also have our live call-in show this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. So join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, 6 o'clock Central, where we live here, 7 o'clock Eastern. You can call Scotty G or myself, and we'll be taking your calls, talking about all things Disney. So we'd love to hear from you there. Also, give me a follow on the social media at Be Our Guest Mike, Twitter and Instagram. Would love to talk to you over there too. All right, we're going to jump out of here and we'll be back again on Wednesday with more of your listener questions. So until we get together again, for Kody, I'm Mike. Wish you a great Monday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Awesome. Thank you. And the Cardinals still tied 0-0.
Oh, wow.
First. I know.
All right.
Flaherty. Oh, nope. Flaherty walked the first guy of the game. So there you go. Oh, yep. That's how it's going to roll.
All right. It was great to meet you, Mike.
Yep. Take care. Take care of that family. And we'll talk when you give me an email when you guys get back and we'll try to do it again. This is fun.
Yeah, I got July, September, and October, so I could do
at least in the fall. Yeah, at least in the fall we could do another one. So because I'm sure somebody will cancel.
Just keep me on your radar.
I will.
For that.
Yeah, I love talking to you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay, take care. All right, see you later.
See you, Mike.
Bye.